Hotel family, welcome back to Matthew Daniels TV. And I got a good one for y'all today. A little bit of history, a little bit of information, some more stories told by our ancestors. Give me just a second to make sure that my audio and visual is working properly. And we're gonna get off into the story. You guys see the title? The title of this video is Plantation Love Story and a Murdered Massa. Oh yes. Oh yes, oh yes, oh yes. Plantation Love Story and a Murdered Massa. But what are we talking about? What is Matthew Daniels talking about? Give me just a second. Let me get this screen share up. And let me make sure that it's working properly. And we're going to dive off into it. Okay, there we go. All right, family. Check this out. Have you ever noticed how a lot of times people try to talk about, oh, if I was back in slavery times, I would have done this or I would have done that. If I couldn't have been whipped, I couldn't have been made to pick cotton. And it's almost as if we think that all of our ancestors just humbly submitted to the institution of slavery. Well, that's not the case at all. It was very difficult to navigate through the world when our ancestors was born into that particular lifestyle. And a lot of times when our ancestors would fight back, stand up for themselves, rebel, revolt, they would be killed, right? They would be killed. And it's easy for us today, in today's world, to say that we would rather die than to be subjected to the horrors of slavery. It's easy to say that in 2025. It's easy. But the crazy part is, in 2025, a lot of people are unwilling to stand up for themselves when the punishment may not even be death. You know, some people may see a cause that they believe in, and individual may organize a protest, a march, or a rally. And the same people that's talking about we are not our ancestors and it couldn't have been me, and if I was born back in slavery times, I would have been the Nat Turner or the Denmark VCs. Those same people will not even show up to a protest or a rally. They won't risk being arrested and taken to jail for what they believe in. They will not risk losing their lives. They could be pulled over by a cop. They could be pulled over by an obvious and upfront racist cop. The cop can violate their rights. The cop can beat them, talk to them bad, mace them, tase them, throw them on the hood of the car. And that individual is not going to respond in such a way in which they can be killed. But they have the nerve to disrespect our ancestors and say, oh, if I was born back in slavery times, I would have been Nat Turner. Well, you have every opportunity to be Nat Turner right now. You violated every day. You stepped on it's been times in your life you have been violated. There's been times in your life your rights, your quote unquote rights have been infringed upon. And what did you do? What did you do? You took the route that would have you live to see another day. So it's disrespectful and dishonest when the majority of us try to say that they would do anything other than what our ancestors did. However, sometimes our ancestors did exactly what we say we would have done. And so we need to highlight some of those instances. So today we're going to be talking about a plantation love story and a murdered Massa. We're going to be talking about a man named Dave Lawson from North Carolina. Now, Dave Lawson was not born during slavery times. However, his mother and father and his grandmother and grandfather were. And so the plantation love story that we're going to be talking about is in reference to the grandmother and grandfather of ancestor Dave Lawson. His grandfather was a man named Cleve Lawson, and his grandmother was a woman named Lisa Lawson. These two were married, these two were in love, and these two were owned by a man known as Drew Norwood. They called him Massa Drew. And this guy was a particularly evil and wicked slave master. He never hesitated to beat his slaves, be their man or woman or child. He would beat them for any reason. He would beat them mercilessly, even to the point of death. He even is on record as beating pregnant women to the point of them having a miscarriage, and not only the baby dying, but the mother dying as well. And so what we're going to see in this story is this man, Master Drew Norwood, he didn't make his money with the crops. He didn't own slaves to work the fields, to pick cotton, to pick sugar cane, to raise livestock, to do work for him. He was a slave trader. He made his money by buying slaves cheap and selling them for a higher price. That's what he did. And so what ended up happening is he bought the grandparents of Dave Lawson. He bought Cleve and he bought Lisa Lawson, a married couple. And when he made up his mind to sell Lisa Lawson, both Lisa and Cleve decided that they were not going to allow him to separate them. And they decided that they were willing to die right then and there, as opposed to being separated. They decided that they were going to do what many of us claim that we would be willing to do if we was born during slavery times. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take you guys to the slave narratives, the North Carolina slave narratives, and we're going to be reading the account of ancestor Dave Lawson. Okay, so let's get right off into it. So this is what ancestor Dave Lawson had to say. Give me just a second. This is one hell of a story. I can't lie to you. This is one hell of a tale. He says, yes, sir. They was, I knows about slavery times is what they told me about how come they hung my grandmammy and grandpappy. They hung them both at the same time and from the same limb of the tree. But that was way back yonder before Mr. Lincoln come down here to set the niggas free. My mammy wasn't but 6 months old then, and I wasn't even born. But Aunt Becky told me about it when I was old enough to listen. This ain't no nice tale you're gonna hear. It's the truth, but it wasn't nice. The first time I heard it, I didn't sleep none for a week. Every time I shut my eyes, I seen Marsh Drew Norwood with that funnel in his mouth and that hot steam blowing up like a cloud round his wicked face and scared eyes. They say my grandpappy's old Morse was the meanest white man the Lord ever let breathe the breath of life. His name was Morse Drew Norwood. He was the richest landowner anywhere around. He owned more land and more niggas than anybody in Pearson or Granville counties. But he didn't make his money with no form. No, sir. He sure didn't. He made his money buying and selling niggas. He bought them cheap and sold them high. He would catch all the niggas that run away from other plantations and keep them in his lockup till he fattened them up. Then he would take them way down in Georgia, Alabama, or someplace like that and sell them for a big price. He would come back with his pockets running over with money. Some folks say he stole niggas to sell, but nobody ever could catch him. Now, before we go to the next page, that's very interesting because imagine a lot of our ancestors tried to escape to freedom. And now we know that there was some slave owners who would catch the runaways. And instead of sending the runaways back to the plantation that they ran away from, he would catch them, put them in lockup, feed them, fatten them up, make them look healthy, clean them up, and then he would take them off down south to Georgia and Alabama or further down south, and then he would sell them. So it's probably some people out there who thought their ancestors had made it all the way to the north. They thought they had survived the trials and tribulations of the Underground Railroad only to be caught by Drew Norwood or somebody like him, locked up, and then taken down to Georgia, Alabama, or someplace like that and sold for a real big price. And this is how this man made his money. The ancestor Dave Lawson goes on to say, Morse Drew lived over here on the Virginia line between Red and Blue Wig. He owned land across the North Carolina line too and lived close to Blue Bend. He treated his niggas so mean, they was all the time running off. If he caught them, he beat them near about to death. He did beat Cindy Norwood to death one time because she's run off to Morse Reuben Jones' place and asked him to keep her. She got poison in the cut places on her back and had fits 3 days before the Lord took her. What he's basically saying is an individual that was enslaved named Cindy Norwood had escaped. She was given back to Morse Drew Norwood, beaten, and she got an infection in the open lacerations on her back. And she was extremely sick for 3 days, and then she died. He goes on to say, but Morse Drew just laughed and say, he don't care that she wasn't no count, no how. I ain't never seen Morse Drew because I was born way after the niggas was freed. But they told me he looked like a mad bull. He was short, with a big head set forward on his big shoulders. His neck was so short that he couldn't wear no collar. He just kept the neck binding or his shirt pinned with a diaper pin. The devil done lit a lamp and set it burning in his eyes. His mouth was a wicked slash cut across his face. And when he got mad, his lips curled back from his teeth like a mad dog's. When he cracked his whip, the niggas swing and the children screamed with pain when that plated thong bit in their flesh. He beat Mistis too. Miss Carrie wasn't no bigger than a minute, and she scared as a kill deal of Mass Drew. She didn't live long, they say, because Morse Drew whipped her just before the first baby was born. Morse Drew done whipped Lazane because she burnt the biscuits. And Miss Carrie give her some salve to rub on the cut places on her back. When Morse Drew found it out, he got so mad that he come back to the big house and told Miss Carrie that he gonna touch her up with his whip that she give Luzane the salve. That's when he want his niggas doctored. He gonna doctor them himself. So he got to use his lash a little bit. I can't see the rest of that. But he goes on to say Miss Carrie got so scared that she went round and round the house. But Marsh Drew run after her. And every now and then, he throwed out the plaited whip and curled it around her shoulders. Every time it hit, it cut clean through her clothes. Miss Carrie got so scared that before towards time, the baby was born dead, and Miss Carrie went on to glory with it. Basically saying, this individual, Marsh Drew Lawson, he beat one woman so bad that he left whips and cuts all along her back. So another enslaved lady named Miss Carrie got some salve, some medicine, and applied it to the wounds to help with the pain and to help with the healing. Marsh Drew Norwood got so upset that he beat the woman who tried to help the woman that he had already beat. So she happens to be pregnant, almost ready to give birth. Now she's so scared. She's running around the house, screaming, begging for mercy, begging for her life. This wicked master, Drew Norwood, chases her around the house, swinging the whip. Every time it hit, it cut through her clothes and it penetrates the skin and it scars her up. So then it just so happened that from the running around the house, the screaming, the excitement, the fear, the being whipped, the pain, she ends up having a miscarriage. The baby is born stillborn. And shortly after that, she passed away too from complications from having that miscarriage and from being whipped and beat and chased. So there's no sympathy that we're going to have for this guy when this guy gets his just desserts here shortly. But this is one of the meanest plantation owners around. This is some of the stuff that our ancestors went through. But it wasn't always about what our ancestors went through. It was what they did to the people who inflicted this kind of harm on them. Just stay tuned. This guy, this wicked, evil, satanic, demonic individual, he's going to get his just desserts. He is going to die in a way. Oh, that gave me so much satisfaction when I heard this story, because I was like, why don't somebody just kill him? And glory to God, somebody did. Look what he says. They say she was glad to go. Of course she was glad to go. She was glad to, give up her life. Her baby was beat out of her stomach. And, she was owned by one of the most wicked men in the county. Yes, sir. Everything on that plantation, animal and man, was scared of that whip. That whip that never left Marsh Drew's wrist. It was made of hometown leather, plated in a round cord, big as a man's thumb. All day, it swung from a leather strap tied to his wrist, and at night, it lay on a chair side the bed where he could reach it easy. So this guy kept his whip tied to his wrist, and when he went to sleep, he kept it laying on a chair right next to the side of his bed. He was always ready and prepared and willing to beat our ancestors. Now remember, why is he like this? He's not purchasing slaves to pick cotton, to pick sugar cane, to work the fields, to tend to the hogs, to tend to the sheep, to tend to the horses. He's not to build things. He don't want enslaved individuals that are carpenters, that are artisans. No, he is just a outright slave trader. He buy them cheap, he sell them high. That's how he make his money. It's all property. This is pure uncut chattel slavery. And so he didn't care about whipping. He didn't care about beating. He didn't care if they died. Our ancestors meant nothing to him. This is the kind of man that we're talking about. Check this out. The ancestor goes on to say, it was just before the Yankees come over here to fight that Morris Drew bought Cleve and Lisa Lawson. Now, when he's talking about the Yankees coming over here to fight, that's the Civil War. Let's all understand, he's saying just before the Civil War kicked off is when Master Drew Norwood bought his grandparents Cleve and Lisa Lawson. And this would be his undoing. Have y'all ever seen Django and they're talking about every now and then you get one Negro, one like you get 999,000, well, 9,999, and then you get that 110,000 who just is not going to take it. Cleve and Lisa Lawson were those two enslaved ancestors who at some point they just had enough. And them having enough was based upon the love that they had for one another. See, the marriage between our ancestors on the plantations, a lot of times the families were broke up, children were sold off. The wife, the husband, they were broken apart, they were sold off. This happened on a regular. But every now and then, you got one of our ancestors that said, hey, I'm just not going to put up with this. I'm not going to put up with this. And sometimes that feeling of I'm not going to put up with this was motivated by love. And so this individual who had his way for decades with our ancestors, shortly before the Civil War kicked off, he bought a man named Cleve Lawson and he bought his wife named Lisa Lawson. And this would be his undoing. Spoiler alert, they kill him. Please stay tuned. You're going to love how they killed him. They made him suffer exactly how he was supposed to suffer. When people say we are not our ancestors, oh, yes, I am. Yes, I am my ancestors. Look, he says, they was my grandmammy and grandpappy. My mammy then was a baby. Morris Drew bought them for $150. That was cheap because the niggas was young with hard form training. Old Morris didn't buy mammy. He said a nigga brat wasn't no good. They wouldn't sell and they might die before they growed up. Besides, they was a strain on the mammy what breast nursed it. So this guy is so wicked. He buys Cleve and Lisa Lawson. Now, Cleve and Lisa Lawson have a 6-month-old child. When he buys them for $150. So they have a 6-month-old daughter who is the mother of the individual that's giving us this information. But old Master Drew Norwood didn't want to buy the baby as well because remember, he just want to buy him and then he just want to buy him cheap and then sell him hot. So he's saying, oh, really, this little baby can't do me any good because he don't want to take his time, energy, and resources to have this baby raised and sell him. He's just trying to flip his money. And he's saying that really having a baby that's still being nursed or breastfed, a 6-month-old, is going to be a strain on ancestor Lisa Lawson. So, again, this is what they used to do. They used to just split up families. So he buy Cleve, he buy Lisa. They're a married couple. They have a 6-month-old child. He don't buy the baby. What happens to the baby, we're going to continue watching. We're going to continue listening. But the baby ends up growing up. She gives birth to Dave Lawson. Dave Lawson is the individual that gives us this dynamic and powerful story. So he goes on to say in the narrative, and again, this is the North Carolina slave narratives. Look, he says, Lisa cut up powerful because he made her leave the baby behind. But Morris Drew just laughed and told her that he would give her a puppy. That day was plenty of hounds on the plantation. So he separates this mother from her 6-month-old child. She cries, she mourns, she begs, she pleads. And this bastard, this dirty, filthy, low-down, no-good bastard laughed at her and told her, look, don't worry about your baby that you held in your womb for 9 months, that you gave birth to, that's actually a part that was literally connected to your body that you nursed in the womb. Don't worry about her. We're going to separate you from her, but I'm going to give you a puppy. Because there was plenty of hounds on the plantation. Now, why would there be hounds? Why would there be hounds on the plantation? Why? Because again, he was so mean, a lot of the individuals that he had enslaved tried to run off. Hound dogs were used to track down the runaways. And remember, not only did he try to track down the runaways from his plantation, runaways from other plantations, he would catch them, hide them away, lock them up, and then he would sell them instead of returning them to the owner. So he says, I'm going to take your baby and I'm going to give you a puppy, you sick, demented bastard. He goes on to say, then he snapped the chains on their wrists and led them off. Lisa and Cleve never seen that baby no more. Aunt Beck Lawson took and raised her, and when she got grown, she was my mammy. Yes, sir. Marsh Drew bought them niggas like he was buying a pair of mules. They wasn't no more than mules to him. He was early something. He brought them to the plantation. But when wheat cutting time come, Lisa and Cleve were sent to the wheat fields. They were smart niggas. They worked hard, too hard for their own good. In them times, twas the smart, hard-working niggas that brought the best price. And nobody didn't know that better than Marsh Drew. One day, Cleve seen Marsh Drew watching Lisa. She was gleaming the wheat. Her skin was the color of warm brown velvet. Her eyes was dark and bright and shining like muscadines under the frosty sun. And her body was slender like a young tree that bends easy. As she stooped and picked up the wheat, flinging it across her arm, she swayed back and forth, just like them saplings down yonder by the creek sways in the wind. Cleve watched Marsh Drew on the slide. He seen him watching Lisa. He seen the lustful look in his eyes, but 'twasn't Lisa he was lusting after. 'Twas money he seen in her slender swaying body, in the smooth, warm brown skin, and the quick, clean way she gleaned the wheat. Stripped to the waist on the Alabama auction block, she would bring near about $1,000. Cleve begun to sweat. So they're out in the fields. I want you to imagine it. They're out in the field. This man Cleve and his wife Lisa, they working and they working hard and they're smart. They're doing what they're supposed to be doing. So while Cleve is working, he's cutting his eyes. He's watching Master Drew Norwood. He see how Master Drew Norwood is looking at his wife Lisa with that old lustful look in his eyes. So he can tell that he's not looking at her from a, like, it's not a sexual lust, right? He's looking at her like, oh, I can make a lot of money off her. I bought both of them for $150. But if I run her down to Alabama and I put her on the auction block, I could make about $1,000 off her. So he see the dollar signs in his eyes. And so when he says, the ancestor says that Cleve, his granddaddy, begun to sweat, he knows at this point, dang, he's thinking about selling my wife. He already took my daughter from me. Now he's about to take my wife. Now he's about to take my wife. What would you do if someone was trying to separate you from your wife? Well, let's see what Cleve did. He turned so sick and scared that he could hardly swing the sit through the week. Morris Drew done took his baby away, and now something way down in his heart told him that he was going to take Lisa. He didn't care if he parted them. 'Twas dollars he seen swing around his head. Gold dollars shining brighter than stars. 'Twas the next day that Morris Drew went to Cleve's cabin. He walked up whistling and knocked on the door with the butt of his whip. This is undoing right here. Cleve opened the door. Old Morris told him to pack Lisa's clothes, that he was taking her to South Boston the next day to sell her on the block. Cleve fell on his knees and begun to plead. He knew old Morris wasn't going to take Lisa to no South Boston. He was going to take her way off, and he would have never see her no more. See, South Boston is kind of up north. But Cleve ain't stupid. He knows, oh, you finna take her to Georgia or Alabama, where you normally take them. You finna take them down deeper into the South, and you're finna sell her into hard labor. So Cleve, look, he begged and promised Morris Drew to be good and do anything he say to do if he just leave him Lisa, that she was his wife and he loved her. But Morris Drew hit him across the face with his whip, cutting his lip in half. Then he went over and felt off Lisa's arms and legs like she might have been a horse. So he goes to this man's house, slave cabins. He says, hey, pack up Lisa's stuff, I'm finna sell her. Cleve says, this my wife, I love her. Please, you already took my daughter. He begs and pleads with the man. Please don't sell my wife. I love her. I'll do anything. I'll do anything you say. We'll be good. Whatever work you want to do, whatever you need from us, we'll give it to you. Just don't take my wife from me. And he could have just said no, right? He could have just said, no, I'm selling her anyway. But instead of that, the sick and demented demonic individual hit him across the face with his whip, hit him across the face with his whip, split his lip in half. Then he goes over to the man's wife and the man in his face and started filling on her arms and legs like she was a horse. Like she was a horse. No doubt talking about how much money that he could get for her. Pushing old Cleve Lawson to his breaking point. Check this out. When he done gone, Cleve went over and sat down by Lisa and took her hand. Lisa begun to cry. Then she jumped up and commenced to take down her clothes hanging on the wall. So they cried together, they sat down together, and then Lisa, knowing nothing but slavery, being born in slavery, felt like, she had no options. The master wanted to sell her, she had to be sold. He already took her daughter, there's nothing that she can do. So she gets up and she starts taking down her clothes, her slave clothes, and she starts taking it down to pack her belongings. And in her mind, in her heart, she knows that she's finna be taken down south to one of the auction blocks in Alabama, and she's finna be sold off for God knows what type of purposes. Man, imagine how sorrowful and afraid she had to be. But this was her lot in life. Now her husband, Cleve, watched her for a while. Then he made up in his mind he gonna do something, that she ain't gonna be took away from him. So Cleve, he sits there, he watches, he knows I'm enslaved, she's enslaved. What options do we have? He know he loved this woman. He loved this woman more than he loved life itself. He begged this man not to take her. This man, Master Drew Norwood, decided that he gonna take her anyway. So Cleve sat there, and we can imagine what's going on in Cleve's head. He's imagining everything that they can do. He's imagining we can run, but if they run, he don't know how to make it to the north. He don't have no intricate information about the Underground Railroad. And even if they run, guess what? It's plenty of hounds on the plantation. Everybody that run get caught. If I try to run, I'm going to get caught. I'm going to be brought back. Lisa's going to be sold anyway. I can beg and plead. Massa's going to beat me. Lisa's going to be sold anyway. If I try to hurt Massa, all of the laws of the land in North Carolina and the United States says that we are going to be killed. So he's between a rock and a hard place. He's between them. What can he do? And so after he watched her for a while and he thought about it, he made up his mind. He said, you know what? I'm going to do something about this. This man has already took my daughter from me. Now he's trying to take my wife. What good is life? What good is living if I can't have my child and I can't have my wife? And so he decided right then and there, nobody is going to take my wife away from me. Nobody is going to take my love away from me. He was ready to what we call stand on business. Stand on business. All of this. We are not our ancestors. I'm not my ancestors. You don't have a heart of Cleve Lawson, because there's so much stuff that we endure every single day. Are you willing to die? Huh? Are you really willing to die for what you believe in? Only a few of us are. Let's just be real. Only a few of us are willing to die for what we love. You see, we want an option to where we can get what we want and we can still wake up and see the sunshine. But if we know that our actions will bring about our death, will we still stand on business? Cleve watched her for a while. Then he made up his mind he gonna do something that she ain't gonna be took away from him. He say, quit that, Lisa. Leave them clothes alone. You ain't gonna leave me. You ain't going nowhere. You hear me? Stood up like a man. Stood up like a man and say, hey, man, you my wife. You leave them clothes alone. I don't give a damn what that bastard said. I don't give a damn what that sick, demented, twisted, demonic slave owner said. You my wife. You already took our daughter. Hell, I ain't got nothing else to lose. You leave them clothes right there. You ain't gonna leave me. You ain't going nowhere. Then he told her to make up a hot Then he told her to make up a hot fire. While he brung in the wash pot, he brung in the big iron pot and set it on the hearth and raked the red coals all around it. Then he filled it with water. While it was heating, he went to the door and looked out. The sun done gone down and night was crowding the hills, pushing them out of sight. By daylight, that white man will be coming after Lisa. So he makes a fire, he heaps some coals on it, he gets a big iron wash pot, fills it with water, he starts boiling the water. Uh-oh. He can't get no gun, he can't get no knife, he starts boiling water. What is he gonna do with the water? Let's see. Cleve turned around and looked at Lisa. She was standing by the wash pot, looking down in the water, and the firelight from the burning lightwood knots showed the tears dropping off her cheeks. Cleve went outside. About that time, a screech owl come and sat on the roof and screeched. Lisa run out to scare it away, but Cleve caught her arm. He say, don't do that, Lisa. Leave him alone. That's the death bird. He knows what he's doing. So Lisa didn't do nothing. She let the bird keep on screeching. Death. Cleve knew death was in the air. When 'twas good and dark, Cleve took a long rope and went out, telling Lisa to keep the water boiling. When Cleve came back, he had Marsh Drew all tied up with the rope and gagged so he couldn't holler. He had him throwed over his shoulder like a sack of meal. Now this guy, Master Drew Norwood, weak, pathetic, sorry, sloppy individual, man-to-man, hand-to-hand combat, could do nothing. But he has the sick, twisted American law on his side, which is why he was able to do what he did to our ancestors. But Cleve goes off into the dead of night. Imagine this, 007, goddamn SEAL Team 6 type operation. He gets a rope, he sneaks off, he sneaks to the big house, and this is a major landowner. This dude big time. He rich. He sneaks off into the middle of the night, sneaks into the plantation, overpowers Master Drew Norwood. He put hands on him. Come on, he didn't just grab him. Think about it. He didn't just grab him and tie him up, because obviously the dude is going to fight back. He put hands on him. Beat, 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 body slam, body slam, body slam, chokehold, beat, 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 beat. He do it to him, tie him up, hog time, like the piece of shit he is, gag him so he can't yell for help. He gag him. He gagged him, then he throw him over his shoulder, and then he carry him all the way back to the slave quarters like a sack of meal. He brought him in the cabin and laid him on the floor. Then he told him if he wouldn't sell Lisa, that he wouldn't hurt him. But Morris Drew shook his head and cussed in his throat. Now, even after all this, when Cleve get him tied up, beaten, gagged, drugged back to the slave quarters, he tell him, look, I don't even want to do this to you. I just love my wife. I want my wife. So let's make a deal. If you don't sell Lisa, I won't even hurt you. But Master Drew shook his head, arrogant bastard, and cussed in his throat. Then Cleve took off the gag. But before the white man could holler out, Cleve stuffed the spout of a funnel in his big mouth way down his throat, holding down his tongue. So Cleve tell him, look, if you don't sell Lisa, I won't hurt you. Master Drew shook his head. No, I'm going to sell her, basically is what he was saying. Cleve, all right. He took out the gag. He took a funnel, shoved it down the man's throat. Then he asked him one more time to save Lisa from the block. But Morris Drew looked at him with hate in his eyes, shook his head again. Cleve didn't say nothing else to him. He called Lisa and told her to bring him a pitcher of boiling water. By then, Lisa seen what Cleve was going to do. She didn't tell Cleve not to do it or nothing. She just filled the pitcher with hot water. Then she went over and sat down on the floor and held Morris Drew's head so he couldn't move. So she decided, I'm riding with my man. She realized what's about to happen. The man is tied up. It's a funnel shoved down in his mouth. And Cleve is saying, bring me a pitcher of that boiling water. He don't get the pitcher. So she looked, she realized, oh snap, I see what he's about to do. And she's ready to risk it all for her husband as well. Ride or die, Bonnie and Clyde type stuff. So she bring the pitcher of boiling hot water, and then she held Morris Drew's head. Imagine the fear going through that man who had put so much fear in our ancestors. This is how he was supposed to go out. When old Morris seen what they was fixing to do to him, his eyes near about busted out of his head. But when they asked him again about Lisa, he wouldn't promise nothing. Arrogant. So Cleve set on him to hold him, to hold him down. So then he sat on him, sat on his chest. Then took the pitcher and begun to pour that boiling water right in that funnel, sticking in Morris Drew's mouth. That man kicked and struggled, but that water scalded its way down his throat, burning up his insides. Lisa brought another pitcher full, and there wasn't no pity in her eyes as she watched Morris Drew fighting his way to torment, cussing all niggas, and Abraham Lincoln. After that, Lisa and Cleve sat down to wait for the sheriff. They knew 'twasn't no use to run. They couldn't get nowhere. About sunup, the folks come and found Morris Drew, and they found Lisa and Cleve sitting by the door, hand in hand, waiting. When them niggas told what they done and how come they done it, them white folks was hard. The sheriff took the rope from round Morris Drew and cut it in two pieces. He tied one rope round Cleve's neck and one rope round Lisa's neck and hung them up in that big oak tree in the yard. Yes, sir, that's what happened to my grandmammy and grandpappy in slavery times. This here cabin we sitting in is the same cabin where Cleve and Lisa scalded Morris Drew. And that oak tree side the path is the same tree they was hung on. Sometimes now, in the fall of the year, when I'm sitting in the door after the sun done gone down, and the wheat am right and bending in the wind, and the moon am round and yellow like a mushmelon, seems like I sees two shadows a swinging from the big limb of that tree. I sees them swinging low side by side with their feet near about touching the ground. So this has been a plantation love story and a murdered Massa where two of our ancestors stood on business for the one that they love after a lifetime of hardships, being sold from plantation to plantation, being beat, being mistreated, being looked upon as if they were no better than the animals, looked upon as if they were scum, the lowest of the low, after having their daughter taken from them at 6 months old and told that their daughter would be replaced with a puppy. They tried and tried and tried to find some type of happiness in that type of a world. But the happiness that they found in each other's arms, was threatened by a wicked and cruel and evil master in North Carolina. And when they found out that they were going to be separated, they said enough was enough. And they would rather die than be separated. And so they killed Master Drew Norwood by sticking a funnel down his mouth, down his throat, and pouring boiling hot water inside. This story can be found in the North Carolina slave narrative. So, as always, I hope you guys enjoyed that story. I hope you guys enjoyed that tale from our ancestors. And I hope you heard something that you never heard before. And I hope some of this information gave you more context to what our ancestors actually endured. This has been Plantation Love Story and a Murdered Massa on Matthew Daniels TV. I appreciate you guys supporting the channel. I appreciate all the cash apps. I appreciate all the donations. And I appreciate everybody who has purchased my books. Thank you guys. Thank you guys. Thank you guys. Y'all have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful day. I'm out.